Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive today into, well, a story that really strips away the veneer of comfort, unleashes something much older.
And that opening quote you mentioned really sets the stage, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Old longings, nomadic leap, chafing at custom's chain, again from its brumal sleep wakens the ferine strain. It's poetic, but it hints at something wild just under the surface.
Exactly, something primal stirring. We're diving into Jack London's The Call of the Wild and specifically looking at Buck's initial, pretty brutal journey.
Yeah, the setting is key. It's the late 1890s, Klondike Gold Rush. People are flooding north because, well, they had found a yellow metal, gold. And this gold rush has this huge, unexpected side effect.
On dogs, suddenly there's this massive demand for specific kinds of dogs.
Right, the text mentions it. Heavy dogs with strong muscles, furry coats, dogs built for hard work and cold. Dogs, frankly, like Buck became super valuable almost overnight.
Which is just worlds away from where we first meet him. Buck's living this, incredibly privileged life down in California, Judge Miller's place. It sounds amazing.
Oh, totally. A sun-kissed, spacious estate, gravel drives, big lawns, stables, orchards, even a swimming tank. It's, the picture of comfort.
And Buck, he's basically the king there. The source says king over all, humans included. He's 140 pounds, part St. Bernard, part Scotch Shepherd. Roams free, swims, hunts, hangs out by the fire.
He doesn't even pay attention to the other dogs, like Coops the pug or Isabel the hairless. They're just
Yeah.
not on his level.
He's this sated aristocrat, maybe a bit egotistical, but fit, happy, and completely oblivious. He's not reading the papers, has no idea that men far away need dogs like him.
Right, his world is secure, or so he thinks. And that's our mission here, really, to unpack how this pampered pet gets violently thrown into this harsh new reality, and how that starts to strip away everything he knew, revealing something, well, ancient inside him.
And the trigger is betrayal, right?
Yeah.
From inside his own world.
Yeah, Manuel, the gardener's helper. Needs money, the text says his wages aren't enough. Gambling debts are mentioned, too. He sees Buck, sees the value.
And just lures him away. The description of the sale, $50 here, 100 there, 150 total, it's so stark. Buck goes from king to commodity. Just like that.
Violently grabbed, thrown in a crate, his old life just vanishes.
The journey north sounds awful. Stuck in the crate, train noise, strangers teasing him. He's furious, confused, won't eat or drink for 2 days.
And then he gets to San Francisco, handed over to the man in the red sweater. Buck immediately sees him as the next tormentor.
And he attacks, goes for him like a red-eyed devil.
But this is where everything changes. This is the first lesson. The man's ready, he's calm, and he has a club.
Buck keeps charging, right? But he just gets knocked down again and again, bleeding, confused. The text says he had never been struck by a club, did not understand.
Exactly. He learns brutally that his strength, his pride, that they mean nothing against this specific kind of human power. A man with a club, he can't win that fight. Someone watching even says he's no slouch at dog breaking. It's a process.
The law of club.
Yeah.
A terrible welcome to this new world. His old rules just don't apply.
Nope. And after that, he's in a pen watching other dogs get beaten, sold off. Never came back. It reinforces this new reality. He's property now, subject to this power.
Until he's sold again. For a good price this time, though. $300.
Yeah, to Perrault, a government courier, and Francois, described as a French-Canadian half-breed. Perrault sees Buck's quality, immediately calls him 1 in 1,000. Maybe even 1 in 10,000.
And these guys are different, aren't they? The text calls them fair men, calm and impartial.
They are. Buck doesn't exactly warm up to them, not like he loved the judge, but he respects their competence. They know this world. They're fair, even if they carry whips.
So he travels north again on a ship called the Narwhal. Meets other dogs, Curly, Dave, Solex.
Right. Curly's friendly. Dave is kind of gloomy but experienced. Solex keeps to himself, blind in one eye. And the ship just keeps throbbing, pushing them north.
And then they land. Seattle first, I think. And Buck sees snow for the first time. He's totally baffled.
Doesn't understand sleeping outside in the cold. But he starts watching, learning, by observing the other dogs. Survival instinct kicking in, maybe?
It has to, because the next lesson comes fast, and it's horrifying. Curly's death.
Oh, yeah, that's brutal. Curly, being friendly, approaches a husky near a store, and instantly she's attacked. It's described as the wolf manner of fighting, to strike and leap away.
No warning, just overwhelming violence. The pack joins in, Francois breaks it up, but it's too late.
She's just limp and lifeless, almost literally torn to pieces. It's incredibly graphic.
And right after this happens, Buck sees Spitz, the lead dog.
Spitz is described as sort of laughing, running his tongue out. And Buck feels this bitter and deathless hatred right then. But the real takeaway from Curly.
The unforgettable lesson.
Yeah, no fair play. Once down, that was the end of you. That hits him hard. He sees it happen, and he internalizes it. I will never go down. That's a turning point.
So the law of club, now the law of fang, basically. No mercy.
Pretty much. And with Curly gone, there's an open spot. Buck gets put in the harness for the first time.
His dignity takes a hit, but the text says he's too wise to rebel. He's learning fast.
He is. He learns from Francois's whip, sure, but also from Dave, nipping him from behind, showing him the ropes as the wheeler, and Spitz growling from the front as the leader. Learns the commands, ho, mush.
Francois is impressed, right? Dat Buck, he and poo like hell.
Definitely. They add more Huskies, making a team of 9, Perot's pushing them hard, carrying government dispatches. Buck's put right between Dave and Solex, the experienced ones, to learn faster.
And he does. He masters the work. But something else is happening inside him.
Yeah, this is where London talks about Buck's adaptability, his ability to adjust. But he also calls it the decay or going to pieces of his moral nature.
Which sounds bad, but London frames that old moral nature from California as a liability here, a handicap in this ruthless struggle for existence.
Right. The rules are different. Club and fang. So Buck adapts. He starts stealing food. Not maliciously, but secretly and cunningly, because he's hungry, and that's how you survive now. It's respecting the new law.
Physically, he's changing too, getting harder, leaner.
Totally. And mentally, emotionally. This is where the dominant primordial beast starts to emerge. It's described as a secret growth. He's becoming more cunning, more controlled, even as this wildness grows.
He avoids a direct fight with Spitz at first, but that hatred is there. And Spitz seems to enjoy provoking him.
Yeah, like over the sleeping nest. Buck digs himself a warm spot in the snow on Lake LaBarge, falls asleep, and Spitz just steals it.
And Buck doesn't back down this time. He attacks Spitz.
Okay.
Surprises him even.
Surprises himself, maybe. That inner beast roar. Spitz had underestimated him.
Then comes that terrifying attack by the starving Huskies.
Oh man, that scene. These aren't trail dogs. They're wild, desperate Huskies. Mere skeletons, blazing eyes, totally hunger mad. They just pour into the camp.
And the team dogs are getting ripped up.
Yeah.
It's chaos.
And in the middle of all that chaos, Spitz sees his chance and attacks Buck from the side. Treacherous.
Which just fuels Buck's hatred even more, right?
Absolutely. The men drive the wild dogs off eventually, but the damage is done. Wounded dogs, lost food, and another lesson for Buck. Dangers everywhere. Constant vigilance.
The trail gets harder, 30-mile river, tough conditions, dogs are hurt.
Yeah, and Buck's feet, coming from California, they're soft. He's in agony. Limped in agony, the text says.
But Francois helps him, right? Rubs his feet, makes some little moccasins out of his own gear.
It's a moment of, like, real care amidst the brutality. And Buck learns to use it. He won't move without his booties. It actually makes Perot laugh, but eventually his feet toughen up.
Then there's Dolly going mad. That must have been terrifying.
Yeah, sudden rabies, apparently.
Yeah.
She attacks Buck with this awful, heartbreaking wolf howl. Buck just bolts in sheer panic.
He runs across the islands, the river. Francois has to chase her down and kill her with an axe to save Buck.
And what does Spitz do the moment Buck is safe, but probably still terrified and exhausted?
Attacks him. Again.
Right. The rivalry is just relentless. Spitz is still the leader, officially, but Buck starts playing a different game.
Undermining him.
Yeah, subtly. He protects the other dogs when Spitz bullies them. Doesn't start fights, but he finishes them if Spitz picks on, say, Dub or Pike. He fosters this quiet rebellion. The team becomes unruly, squabbling. Howling bedlam, London calls it.
Francois knows something's up, but
Yeah.
Buck's too smart to get caught causing the trouble directly.
Exactly. He's finding joy in the work, the toil, but even more in messing with Spitz, challenging his authority. It's building towards the final confrontation.
Which happens during a rabbit chase.
Yeah, near the Tahkeena River. It's a moment of pure instinct. Buck is about to catch the rabbit, the snowshoe rabbit, and Spitz cuts in front, snaps its back, kills it right before Buck can. It's symbolic.
Old last straw.
Totally. Buck attacks. This is it, the fight for dominance. To the death.
And the fight itself. It's described really intensely.
It is. Fang against Fang. At first, Buck's old fighting style isn't working well against Spitz, who's a seasoned fighter.
But Buck adapts, right? He uses something he learned.
From watching other dogs fight, maybe those wild Huskies, he fakes a move and then drives his shoulder hard into Spitz's foreleg, breaking it. He cripples him.
And the other dogs, they sense it immediately.
They form that silent circle. They know Spitz is finished. The pack instinct takes over. Buck waits for his moment, then charges, gets the killing hold, and the pack descends.
Wow. So Buck doesn't technically deliver the killing blow himself?
No, the pack does, as is the way. But Buck is the victor. He stands there, the successful champion, the dominant primordial beast who had made his kill and found it good. He's claimed his place.
So morning comes, Spitz is gone. Francois sees Buck, all wounded, says he fought like 2 hells.
And by custom, the strongest dog remaining, probably Solex in this case, should step into the lead. Francois tries to harness him.
But Buck's not having it.
Not a chance. He'd won the leadership fair and square by the law of the wild. He refuses. It's an open revolt. Not against the men, but for his rightful place. He circles the camp, dodging them, making it clear he won't work unless he's leading.
He literally forces their hand.
He does. Perrault and Francois argue, but they see Buck won't give in. They're beaten. Francois finally takes Solex out, and Buck trots right into the lead spot, laughing triumphantly.
And how does he do as leader?
He's amazing. Better than Spitz. The text says he shows better judgment, he's quicker thinking, quicker acting. He whips the team into shape, no more slacking or quarreling.
And they make incredible time, right?
Record time. Averaging 40 miles a day. They cover something like 2,500 miles with almost no rest. They arrive back in Skagway completely dead tired, but they did it.
But during all this intense work, something deeper is stirring in Buck. Those moments by the fire.
Yeah, his memories of California are fading, becoming dim and distant. What's replacing them are these flashes. Memories of his heredity, London calls them.
The vision of the hairy man.
Exactly. This primitive figure, shorter of leg and longer of arm, matted hair, scared of the dark, holding a club. It's like Buck is tapping into this ancient ancestral past. The wildness isn't just learned, it's awakening from within.
Wow. So they make this incredible run, arrive exhausted, only to be sold again.
Yeah, sold for a song because they're worn out.
Yeah.
And sold to probably the worst possible people, Hal, Charles, and Mercedes.
This trio, London does not paint a flattering picture.
No kidding. Manifestly out of place. Their callousness sheer and unutterable. They are dangerously incompetent. Mercedes is pretty but totally useless, interferes constantly.
And they just have no clue what they're doing. Messy camp, overloading the sled.
Ludicrously overloaded. A mountainous load. People try to warn them. Experienced folks in Skagway tell them it's too much, but they ignore the advice. They can barely even get the sled moving because the runners are frozen down.
Then it tips over, gear everywhere, people tell them again. Half the load and twice the dogs. Meaning, good dogs.
But do they listen? Nope. Mercedes throws a fit about leaving her stuff behind. She insists on riding the sled herself, adding another 120 pounds. And instead of getting good dogs, they buy 6 cheap outside dogs.
Dogs completely unfit for the trail, pointers, a Newfoundland.
Yep, totally wrong breeds, probably already broken-spirited. They don't know how to pull or work as a team. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
And the food situation?
Catastrophic mismanagement. They overfeed the new, weak dogs at first, using up supplies. Then they realize they're running out and drastically cut rations for everyone. They end up feeding them frozen horsehide, which the dogs can't even digest properly.
So the dogs just start dying off. Exhaustion, starvation, injuries. Dubbed the 6 new dogs.
It's grim. And all the while, Hal, Charles, and Mercedes are just bickering amongst themselves, totally neglecting the animals and the camp essentials. Hal starts resorting to the club again, beating the starving, exhausted dogs.
And Buck, how's he holding up through this nightmare?
He's suffering terribly, staggering, falling down, getting whipped and clubbed. He's emaciated, coat ruined, you can see his bones. But that unbreakable heart, the thing the man in the red sweater couldn't break, keeps him putting one foot in front of the other. The whole team are just perambulating skeletons.
It sounds like rock bottom. But then they reach John Thornton's camp.
Yes, salvation arrives, quite literally. They stumble into his camp at the mouth of the White River. Thornton's just there, whittling, clearly experienced. He warns Hal straight away the ice ahead is thin, dangerous.
And Hal, being Hal, just ignores him. Tries to whip the collapsed dogs, including Buck, to get them moving.
Buck just can't get up. He's done. Despite the whipping, he lies there. Thornton's been watching, getting angrier and angrier at the pointless cruelty.
And he steps in.
He does. When Hal keeps whipping the unresponsive Buck, Thornton snaps. He attacks Hal, knocks the whip away, uses his axe handle to defend Buck, disarms Hal, and then cuts Buck's traces, freeing him from the team.
He saves him. Just takes him.
Yeah. Hal and the others, Unbelievably, just carry on with the few remaining dogs onto the bad ice. Buck watches them go, limping. And, well, the inevitable happens shortly after they disappear through the ice.
Wow. So Thornton literally saved Buck from certain death twice over the beating in the ice.
Absolutely. And Thorny kneels down by Buck, talks to him kindly, and Buck, who hasn't shown much affection since California, licks Thornton's hand. It's the start of this incredibly powerful bond.
A completely different kind of relationship than he's had before in the North.
Totally different. It's not based on club or fang or even just competence like with Perot. It's based on rescue, kindness, and genuine love. Buck recovers. Thornton nurses him back to health. Helped by his other dogs, Skeet and Mig, he thrives.
And his devotion to Thornton becomes absolute.
Almost terrifyingly so. That scene on the cliff edge, Thornton jokingly tells him to jump, and Buck starts to obey, ready to leap off a cliff just because Thornton said so.
That's intense. Thornton has to grab him back.
Yeah. His friends Pete and Hans see it and are amazed. They know you don't mess with Thornton when Buck's around.
Like that time in Circle City with Black Burton.
Exactly. Burton strikes Thornton during an argument, and Buck is on him in an instant. Fierce defense. He nearly kills the guy.
And then the ultimate proof of their bond, and Buck's incredible power under that bond. The 1,000-pound pole.
Ah, the legend of Dawson. They're in the El Dorado saloon, men bragging. Thornton makes this quiet claim. Buck can start 1,000 pounds on a frozen sled.
Which sounds impossible. People bet against him, right?
A lot of money.
$1,600 on the line. The sled is loaded with 1,000 pounds of flour, frozen solid to the ground. The tension must have been incredible.
But Thornton just talks to Buck, gives the commands.
Yeah.
Jee-haw, mush.
And Buck? He gives everything. You can picture the muscles writhing and knotting. He strains, breaks the sled free, and then pulls that massive weight the required 100 yards.
The crowd goes nuts. But Thornton only has eyes for Buck. Kneels down, hugs him, emotional, saying, "You saved me, Buck." It's not just about the money. It's this peak moment of connection, loyalty, and power combined.
So they use the winnings to follow a dream, right? Find a lost mine.
Yeah. Thornton, Buck, Pete, and Hans head off into the Virgin East, into totally uncharted territory. It's a different life again, exploring, hunting, living off the land, sometimes feasting, sometimes going hungry.
And in this deep wilderness, away from everything, Buck changes again.
Wildness intensifies. He becomes a master hunter, a killer, a thing that preyed, taking immense pride in his strength and skill. He looks like a gigantic wolf. His wild cunning reaches its peak.
And he starts hearing that call more strongly.
Yeah, this wolf howl from the forest, it draws him. He starts taking longer and longer trips away from the camp, hunting on his own, exploring his wild nature. He tracks and eventually brings down a huge bull moose after days of relentless stalking.
But he always comes back, right? Because of Thornton.
Always. That love is the anchor. He's torn between this powerful ancient call and his profound devotion to this one man.
Until he comes back one time and everything is wrong.
Yeah, the final tragedy. He feels something's wrong even before he gets there. He finds Nig dead with an arrow, another dog dying, then Hans also killed by arrows. He sees Yihat Indians dancing around the ruined camp.
And the rage.
Overpowering. Fueled by love for Thornton, he attacks them like a force of nature, a live hurricane of fury, the fiend incarnate. He tears throats, rampages through them. They flee in terror, thinking he's an evil spirit. It's not calculated like the Spitz fight. It's pure, vengeful fury.
He drives them off, then searches for Thornton.
Finds Pete dead. Finds Skeet dead near a deep pool. And he knows. He knows Thornton's in the pool, dead. Everything connected to Thornton is gone.
Just Buck. Alone in the ruined camp.
Alone, grieving, filled with this terrible rage. And then the wolf pack arrives. The same pack he'd encountered before. The source of the call.
And he doesn't run. He doesn't hide.
No. He stands his ground, fights them. He's the dominant creature now, without question. Kills the bullless wolf, wounds others until they back off.
But then, something shifts.
An old wolf, one he'd run with briefly on his wilder excursions, approaches cautiously. They fight for a moment, maybe testing each other. But then the old wolf howls, a different kind of howl. And the pack gathers around.
Do you accept him?
They accept him. He finds his brother, as the text suggests, and he joins them. Runs off into the forest side by side with the pack, finally fully answering that call.
Wow. What a journey. From Judge Miller's sun-kissed estate to running with wolves in the Yukon wilderness, it's an incredible transformation.
It really is. It's this intense look at How environment, necessity, brutality, how they can strip away civilization and awaken these deep ancestral instincts, the power of heredity.
And it contrasts that brutal law of club and fang with this incredibly deep, specific love and loyalty he felt for Thornton. That was the only thing holding him back from the wild, wasn't it?
It seems that way. Thornton was the exception to the harsh rules of the North for Buck, his anchor to that other life.
So, thinking about Buck's story, what does it make you consider about, well, us, about human nature? How much are we shaped by our circumstances versus what's already inside us waiting?
It's a profound question, isn't it? How much of our civilized behavior is just conditioning, and what lies underneath?
And that final image of Buck joining the pack, becoming this ghost dog legend, was that his destiny all along, the call he was always meant to answer once his human tie was broken? Or is it more tragic, a result of profound loss driving him finally away from the human world?
Yeah, what parts of your own nature, buried under the day-to-day might just be waiting for their own kind of call? Something to think about.